Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump has reacted to our beloved President Biden's first major press conference. And of course, there's a crisis that's growing in the southern geographic region of our country. And if I have to speak in algorithmically friendly terms, that's because wonderful and morally superior Democrats have made it this way. A couple of things that President Trump said, really interesting. Former President Donald Trump says his successor, Joe Biden, faced only easy questions at his first Formula media conference since taking office, where they were, quote, ready to rip the microphone away if someone got a little bit testy. Quote, they were strange questions, and they were asked in a very interesting way. It was like softballs. It was just a different world. Nobody's seen anything like it. It's very sad to watch, actually. They're feeding him questions. They're easy questions. The New York Post reported that he had like a cheat sheet of questions and answers. Mr. Trump pointed out at Fox News' Peter Doocy was overlooked at the media conference. I noticed Peter Doocy didn't get to ask a question today. There could be no difficult questions, and they're ready to rip the microphone away if somebody did get a little testy. The whole thing is ridiculous. Number one, you can't blame President Trump for what's going on in the southern geographic region of our country. There's a crisis, and zero moral outrage, zero condemnation, no judgment. Where's the empathy? Where's the moral outrage? Just type in Trump outrage. You will get thousands of articles. It was a template for media. Anytime they could use the words Trump brings outrage, Trump caused outrage, everything was sensationalized. Oh, Trump was so cruel. Well, number one, President Obama had a Senate report pertaining to this very topic that was worse than anything that happened during President Trump's administration, and I was against the separation, which he ended in 2018. So, again, like, no president is perfect. Biden isn't going to be perfect. But literally, like, less than 3 months into his presidency, we have a crisis that did not happen during President Trump's presidency. And if Democrats want to say, oh, well, people were... The levels of people were increasing. That could be the belief that, well, the polls were showing Biden was going to win, Democrats were going to sweep, and so maybe that created an incentive. That could be an issue as well. I am liberal on many aspects of immigration. I want dreamers to become citizens, so I'll be very happy, hopefully, when they do become citizens. I have friends who are dreamers. I want them to become citizens, but what's taking place right now is there are national security concerns that we can't even talk about on YouTube. So, like, media's not reporting on it. They're barely reporting on it. The performance artists at CNN and other publications that were just, Mr. President Trump, are you going to apologize for lying so much? I mean, you had people who devoted their lives to just trying to, it was like an unruly class trying to make the substitute teacher's life miserable. And that's what Trump had to contend with. Suddenly, democracy is safe. The Constitution has been, they scotch taped it together, and everything's fine now. And any crisis, like, Democrats get away with the worst controversies and scandals because media never reports on them. An example is Hunter, our beloved president's very responsible and normal son, with his emails showing pay-to-play and quid pro quo schemes that easily could be investigated by the Bureau. And gee, I wonder why they're not being investigated. Maybe it's because he's a Democrat. Then there's the issue of a Second Amendment that was thrown into a dumpster behind a building right next to a high school that Hunter's girlfriend threw into the dumpster near a high school. this leads to a bunch of questions. He lied, by the way, on the form to register to obtain that. Why? Because he was kicked out of the Navy for abusing a certain narcotic, a white powder. So pretty soon it's just going to be charades, by the way. I'll be like, 3 syllables. But anyway, to my new Patreons, thank you very much. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Share this segment everywhere. President Trump has every right to call them out. He has every single right to call them out. He has every single right to claim that things weren't fair. Now, look, there were some pitfalls and traps that he fell into, especially on social media. President Trump shouldn't have done certain things. He shouldn't have said certain things on social media. But the manner in which media treated Trump, we've never seen that before. When they engage in an onslaught, a barrage of negative coverage, followed up with polls. So obviously any poll on any subject, any survey on any subject is going to show that, the majority of Americans don't agree with Trump on this issue. What happens usually is they'll start some kind of narrative. He worked with Russia, which never happened. He pressured Zelensky, which never happened. They don't have direct evidence of anything. Most of their claims against Trump, even including his tax returns, are baseless claims. They've had his tax returns for 3 weeks now? They found nothing, absolutely nothing. Tell me what they found. Tell me what Mueller found with Trump-Russia. I want to know how many people were indicted because they worked with Russian intelligence officials, not because they allegedly lied to Peter Strzok, who literally saved Clinton and literally wrote, we'll stop Trump. Of course, there's bias through osmosis in our society, but there's no bias when you have agents literally saying, we will stop this man. Could you imagine if they said, we'll stop Clinton? You would never hear the end of it. And then when it's Trump, it's like, you know what? Trump makes everything about himself. It's like, no, it's CNN's ratings, all these cable stations and publications, their ratings and their revenues have tanked because they don't have Trump anymore to blame. Trump was a scapegoat. They're still blaming him. They're saying, oh yeah, his rhetoric caused this. Like, no, the economic downturn has a lot more to do with a specific wave of crimes that were taking place in Democratic-run cities, okay? Oakland is a Democratic-run city in a Democratic-run state. New York City is a Democratic-run city in a Democratic-run state. If a wave of crimes are taking place against a specific community, okay, so why aren't Democrats protecting the Asian American communities within their cities and states? I agree that this is a horrendous problem that has multiple factors that contribute to it. Okay, and I do agree that what President Trump said was crude, but he never told anyone to commit an atrocity, or he never blamed the pandemic on any specific group. What media does is they say, Trump said this, he said this, and therefore it means this, and they keep pumping it. They keep pumping it, and this is... Asian American students were being discriminated against at Harvard. And the narratives and the stereotypes of a Trump supporter don't fit what's taking place in Democratic-run cities where these crimes are taking place. Oftentimes. Well, you have a Democratic-run city in a Democratic-run state. How are you going to blame Trump's words? I want to know this. How are you going to blame... is AOC... is Andrew Cuomo... Well, we know Andrew Cuomo is like a monster. But, 15,000 lives. But is Chuck Schumer, Gillibrand, de Blasio... are they protecting the Asian American communities within New York? Because it's their job to do so. If you believe that Trump's words compelled people to do horrible things... then that's even more reason why Democrats should protect people from Trump's words. But they're not. Oakland, California? That's a Republican stronghold? That's where Trump supporters just wear Make America Great Again hats? In Los Angeles, California? You can't. These are Democratic-run states and cities. San Francisco, for example. You can't find a more liberal city, maybe Portland, or Seattle. But, I mean, you can't find a more Democratic-run city and liberal city. And if indeed President Trump's words are causing all of this, then why are the Democrats protecting their citizens? Why don't Democrats protect? What they do is they fail to protect their citizens, and then they blame Trump. And when, like in Georgia, when law enforcement's like, yeah, this had nothing to do with Trump, the suspect who will burn in you-know-where forever, he said, yeah, it wasn't motivated. They still hold the narrative. They still go to Trump because they failed so miserably to protect people. Then they say, okay, well, we're gonna make it more difficult for the average American and citizen to get the Second Amendment, and that affects people of all backgrounds and all ethnicities. And Biden's son has a girlfriend who threw his Second Amendment in a dumpster near a school, and they lost track of it. And he lied on the registration, the permit to obtain it, because he should have acknowledged that he had a problem with narcotics, because they ask you that, and if you lie on the form, it's a crime. And he was kicked out of the Navy. So they're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. And where's AOC? Yad Vashem in Jerusalem had to refute AOC's revisionist and denial claims. That is an actual, like, when you're equating Biden's facilities now, because Biden's utilizing the exact same facilities and almost certainly doing the exact same things, and there's less resources now. You have less resources. And like I said, go check the Senate report. Under President Obama, the Senate report talked about, giving human beings to people committing crimes. We'll just leave it at that. And so, where's the outrage from AOC? She stated that the facilities that Biden's using right now, can be equated to a topic that she should never again talk about. I wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post. So, and Yad Vashem had to refute her claim, saying, yeah, learn more about the topic. And they were being, like, very diplomatic, too. They could have stated a lot more. But see, again, Democrats are all public relations. There are things that President Trump shouldn't have done. He shouldn't have insulted LeBron James. He shouldn't have insulted NFL athletes. He shouldn't have done those things. Because it overshadowed his successes, the prison reform legislation, giving more money to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. First president to step foot in North Korea, where President Moon Jae-in of South Korea stated that Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. A lot of things that he was able to accomplish. Abraham Accords, record low unemployment, record low black and Latino unemployment. Then they said, well, that was Obama's doing. You should credit Obama. Then when a tragedy takes place in Georgia, it's Trump's fault. So it's like, you never, and then when it's a press conference for Trump, oh, you know what? You apologize to the American people for lying so much. Well, where are the fact-checking organizations? Where are the Pinocchios with Biden? They've already lied numerous times. Psaki, I'll circle back. I'll circle back. Can you imagine if Trump said, I'll circle back? I do a horrible Trump imitation, but could you imagine if any of Trump's press secretaries said, I'll circle back to you? Trump said, circle back. Oh my God. That is a statement linked to this type of theory, and oh my God, and impeach. So it's like you're dealing with, oh, and by the way, I love this. We have the moral police, the moral authorities, Trevor Noah, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, James Corden, John Oliver. I wonder what they thought about AOC trying to equate the facilities Biden's using now to a topic that Yad Vashem told her learn more about in a revisionist way. I wonder if they agree with her. I wonder what they think right now of what's taking place in the southern geographic region of our country. But they don't have, like, I listened to Jimmy Kimmel the other night, just watched him, or like, just every day I'm like, okay, what's this guy talking about now? He doesn't even make jokes. They're just like vapid insults. Like, he doesn't even, if he ever got like, if there was anyone who knew the other side of the equation, or anyone who could offer a rebuttal to Jimmy Kimmel, he would have no answer because it wouldn't be scripted in front of him. These talk show hosts have a monologue that they memorize before, usually with like the great ones, Johnny Carson, Arsenio Hall. There's a whole bunch of talk show hosts before even Johnny Carson. But Johnny Carson, I loved. Arsenio Hall, I loved. Those were two amazing, like Johnny Carson and Arsenio Hall, I would listen to and watch growing up. And it's like all you had was just fun, entertainment. You could relax and unwind. Now everything's politicized. Everything. Okay, Saturday Night Live would go after each political, everyone in the political spectrum. Now it's only Democrats. I mean, only Republicans. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. The press conference was a joke, and the lack of media access to what's taking place right now in the southern geographic region of the country is also a travesty. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you.